sell his soul? The answer is yes, he actually did, and it started at a very young age in the music industry. Back in 2013, Justin would just cover one eye in every single picture, and we all know what that means. He would also randomly do the devil horns. And then you got this, the infamous 666 covering one eye, and he did this back in 2010.
With the following.
Jokes backfired big time. In 2006, the high-end water Fiji ran an ad campaign jokingly saying the label says Fiji because it's not bottled in Cleveland. Well, the city of Cleveland, Ohio saw this and were offended because what did they ever do to deserve this? So rightfully, the city of Cleveland tested their tap water and found that it was actually cleaner and tastier than Fiji water. Next, several years ago, a California man jokingly got a personalized license plate that read no, and thought it would trick the database so whenever he got a ticket, it would register as no, meaning nothing. Well, the problem with that is, anytime there was an error on anyone else's license plate, they assigned it to him. He got $12,000 in fines. Here's 5 things our parents lied to us about. Cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. This isn't true. The noise is caused by negative pressure temporarily pulling nitrogen gas into the joint. If you swallow gum, it will stay in your stomach for 7 years. This is not true. It will be excreted within a few days. Sitting too close to the TV will hurt your eyes. This is actually a very popular misconception. A long-term extensive study has shown that myopia in children has nothing to do with this. If you keep going cross-eyed, you'll get stuck like that forever. This is simply false. Your hair will grow faster the more often you cut it. This isn't true. There are a number of factors affecting it, such as age, hormones, and even the time of year.
So my whole childhood was a lie?
Did you know these facts? The Apollo 11 astronauts were not able to get life insurance, so instead they signed hundreds of autographs as their own insurance for their families in case of tragedy. The first business Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs created together was an illegal device to make long-distance calling easier by tricking the phone companies. All of the paint on the Eiffel Tower weighs the same amount as 10 elephants, and it gets repainted every 7 years without closing to the public. There's a company in Japan who was giving 6 extra vacation days a year to employees who didn't smoke, and it actually helped push a lot of the employees to stop smoking. Roughly 67% of the earth is under cloud cover at any given time. Ancient Babylonians did math in base 60 instead of base 10, which is why we have 60 seconds and 360 degrees for a circle. Ruth Brown was a 1950s R&B superstar that had to work low-paying jobs while she was famous because the record label was withholding her earnings.
Here is a quick list
Scummy.
of documentaries to watch for the month of January if you haven't already. First, we have The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, the final chapter. This documentary explores the controversy of Natalia's medical condition and adoption. Natalia was born with a rare dwarfism condition, and when she was adopted, they ended up abandoning her because they claimed that she lied about her age and she was manipulating them. Next, we have an update on our family. Vlogger couple Micah and James Stauffer made content based on their child who was adopted from China. He was on the autism spectrum but later gave him up. This scandal touches on the unregulated family vlogging industry. Next we have The Bunker. This documentary details Isabel Erickson's abduction by a doctor who she was going on a date with. Next thing she knows, she was being held captive in a cramped windowless room. In this 3-part series, Isabel talks about what she endured and how she escaped. Last but not least, we have Scamanda. This true crime documentary talks about blogger Amanda Riley, who was pretending to be dealing with cancer. She deceived people and nearly collected $100,000 to allegedly help with her hospital bills.
The weirdest houses
Should
ever.
I check those out?
You really gotta love music to make your house look like this. I'm trying to think of how to describe this house. It looks like a bathroom. Does that make sense? Totally normal house except for the giant shark that crashed into the roof. This must be a ghost house. I don't know why, but I really don't like how it looks. Before I show you the best one, I just found a way to erase anything from your photos. Try it out by pressing the button on my profile, then press erase and edit like a pro. And finally, wait, is that Squidward? Interesting design choice.
Just a quick question. Would any of you guys live in any of those houses? That would be a no from me. I don't think so. Especially that Squidward one, man. Creep me the hell out. I don't know what we go through those designers' ideas, man. Especially one house was just see-through. Like, what? That ain't a house. I don't know what you would call that. You know what this is, man.
Child marriage used to be legal in America, and the story of this marriage is one of the most disturbing things I've ever read about. This is 9-year-old Eunice Winstead, and this is her legal husband at the time, Charlie Johns. So on January 19th, 1937, Eunice, who was 9 years old at the time, left her mother's house. On that morning, she told her parents that she was going out to buy herself a new doll. But instead, the 9-year-old was headed to the courthouse to meet her 22-year-old future husband, Charlie Johns. So at the time of this affair, there was no age limit on marriage in Tennessee. I mean, technically, someone could have married an adult and a baby if they paid off the minister and got everything to go through properly. And so on that day, 22-year-old Charlie offered a local Baptist preacher named Walter $1, which equates to around $21 today. And the preacher accepted the offer, came into the church, and married the 9-year-old to the 22-year-old. I mean, obviously, words cannot possibly describe how disturbing images like these are. Now, at first, both Charlie and Eunice's parents disapproved of the marriage, but after some thought, they eventually approved the marriage, and they just allowed them to live together and be married. Now, sadly, Eunice dropped out of school at the age of 9 after her husband, Charlie, pulled her out, and she began giving birth to their children at age 15. They'd eventually have 8 children together. I just cannot believe that shit like this used to happen in America. Comment your thoughts on this below.
A girl woke up
That's
bruised
insane.
every morning, so her parents set up a security camera, and what they found will shock you. A young girl was going to sleep every night and waking up the next morning with bruises all over her body. At first, this was only happening occasionally, and the bruises were so small that they were barely noticeable. But over time, the bruises seemed to get a lot worse and were happening way more frequently. Her parents ended up sending her to a special summer camp where she had to wear shorts every day. When the staff finally noticed the bruises on her leg, they did the right thing and reported it to the authorities. After the staff contacted her parents, they decided to make a doctor's appointment to get the bruises checked out. The doctors ran many tests but didn't end up finding anything, so they sent her and her parents on their way home. Feeling extremely frustrated, her parents set up a security camera in her room to find out what was going on. The next morning, her parents watched the footage and were shocked by what they saw. Hit the plus for part 2.
Damn, I gotta find that, bro. What the hell happened?
Crazy things happening in the world right now. After a woman took a DNA test for funsies, police used it to charge her grandmother with murder in a cold case. A woman divorced her husband in order to be with Brad Pitt, only to find out that it was an AI scam. A Philadelphia man who was awarded more than $4 million for an overturned murder conviction ended up pleading guilty in a case where he ended a man's life over $1,200. TSA stopped more than 6,000 weapons at airport security in 2024, and 94% of them were loaded. A Texas woman has set the record for donating more than 2,000 liters of her breast milk. The CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, has let the world know that Stevie Wonder demoed the Apple Vision Pro. A man disrupted a TV interview where a woman was speaking on her feelings of being uncomfortable in public places, and he refused to leave. The city of Bend, Oregon, recently ordered its citizens to stop putting googly eyes on statues.
Here's what would happen if you drank only water for 20 days. The first 2 days would be the worst. You'd feel incredibly hungry, your energy levels would drop, and your mood would be intolerable. In days 3 to 7, a process of ketosis would occur, in which your body breaks down fat it has stored, therefore making you lose weight. You'd also feel less hungry and more energetic. However, you would still get bad headaches and have bad night's sleep. In days 8 to 14, you would experience clarity of mind, and you'd feel happy and energetic. Very few people reach days 15 to 20 of water fasting, so you'd feel very proud. You'd feel light and active. However, you'd be ready to eat some solid food again. Comment if you try water fasting.
Have any of you guys tried the water fast before? I haven't.
This Krampus or Krampus animatronic is one of the creepiest things I have ever seen. They sell it at Spirit Halloween during Halloween time, but also at Spirit Christmas, which I'm still trying to find one of those. Look how absolutely massive it is in comparison to a human. And there's even versions of it holding a little animatronic child that's like freaking out. I also would be freaking out around this thing. Absolutely not. The story of Krampus or Krampus, depending on how you pronounce it, comes from like Austria, Europe, Germany. Basically, it's to threaten bad little kids and saying like, oh, Krampus is gonna get you. He's supposed to be Saint Nick, Santa Claus, but also not. I'm still trying to figure that out. I've been doing a lot of research about him because honestly he fascinates me. Also, the Krampus movie that came out a few years ago is honestly a really, really good movie, and you should probably watch it this holiday season if you like horror movies. But yeah, watch these videos of the animatronic in action and let me know how you're feeling, and if you would want this in your house for the low price of $350 US.
That ain't low price nowadays, baby. Damn, it kind of looks realistic. Like, imagine walking down the street seeing that. What would your reaction be? Yeah, that was scared. That definitely some kids, man. That's pure nightmare fuel for them. You know what this is.
People who are 1 in a million. This is Gary Turner, but he's better known as the Elastic Man. He has a medical condition that causes his skin to be extremely stretchy.
Mr.
He can
Fantastic.
literally stretch the skin from his neck over his mouth. And this man came into the hospital with severe chest pain. And doctors were shocked when they discovered this man had 2 hearts. Next up, we have Paul Carrison, the real-life Papa Smurf. To fix his skin condition, he would drink silver and rub it on his skin every day, which caused him to turn irreversibly blue.
If you're scared of snakes,
Why would he
this
do that?
video will probably be your worst nightmare. This absolute unit of a snake is called the Titanoboa, and they existed over 60 million years ago. These things were slithering around at almost 50 feet long, and let me just put that into perspective for you. That would be like lining up 8 Shaquille O'Neals from head to toe, and we know that dude's massive. Now, God didn't want to make them too overpowered, so he didn't give them any venom, but he did give them the ability to be amazing swimmers and even faster than a racehorse when moving on land. Now, although the Titanoboa doesn't have any venom, it is a constrictor, so when it catches its prey, it crushes the absolute soul out of it. Its jaw then unhinges, allowing its mouth to open wide enough to consume a whole human, alligator, really anything else. You might be thinking, with all this power, how did this beast go extinct? Well, it's not because they skipped leg day. No. You see, when the Earth cooled down, they couldn't maintain their metabolism anymore and went extinct. You can thank God that they're not around today. Make sure you share this video with someone who hates snakes. Here's why you should always make sure you lock your doors. In 2007, a girl in California was living just beside the local prison. One night, as she was about to go to sleep, she heard the door open downstairs and assumed it was her roommate. So she looked down the stairs and said hi, with no response. She found it a bit odd, but then out of the shadow came this huge man that she did not recognize at all. Terrified, she quickly ran upstairs into her crawl space and tucked herself in there for a few hours. She could hear this man flipping furniture and running all around her house downstairs. After a few hours, when she opened up the crawl space and grabbed her phone off her nightstand table, she dialed 911 and described the intruder to the cops. When the cops heard this description, they said, "Go back into your crawl space and stay there." It turns out a 6'11" man from the prison next door had escaped and broken into her house.
Would you guys even would you guys even want to live next to a prison? No. I'm gonna do shit out, man. As soon as if I even found out I was next to prison, I ain't gonna lie, I'm out, man, because exactly what would happen if somebody breaks out, you're gonna be the first house man they're gonna go to. No, that ain't happening to me.
Here's some news that will give you hope. A United pilot bought 30 pizzas for everyone on his flight that was delayed for multiple hours and made sure that everyone had a slice before he had his own. A man who found himself on an empty airplane ended up taking a photo of himself in every single seat and photoshopping it together. A 25-year-old pizza delivery driver ran into a burning house to save 4 children who ended up telling him there might be one more inside. The moment after he jumped out of a window with the final child was caught on a body cam. Former billionaire Chuck Feeney donated his over $8 billion of net worth to charities and spent his remaining days in a rented apartment in San Francisco with no assets under his name. These photos show a before and after just 6 weeks after getting a liver transplant. A grocery store employee found $12,000 in a grocery cart in the parking lot and returned it to the owner of the money. Here's a video of a kind dog allowing a starving kitten to eat from his food.
Imagine opening the front door to someone's decapitated
There's goodness
head on
everywhere.
your front steps. On June 10th of
Just gotta find it.
2017, someone's decapitated head was found on the front steps of a White House in Jackson, Mississippi. Around 9:19 a.m., police were alerted, and one of the first officers who was at the scene recognized this as his own cousin, 30-year-old Jeremy Jerome Jackson. Later that day, around 4 p.m., Jeremy's burnt body was found less than a mile away from that home. Jeremy was one of 9 siblings, and he lived with his brother Johnny. He had 3 children and was a business management student. Just the day before Jeremy was seen alive, he had asked his brother Corey if he could give him a haircut and a ride to a job interview at a Mexican restaurant, and he was very excited when he got that job offer. Later that day, Jeremy was cutting the grass and told his brother Johnny that he was going to a friend's house but never returned. His brother stated that when Jeremy left to go to that friend's house, he didn't seem worried or paranoid like something was going to happen. He seemed perfectly fine. The house where Jeremy's head was found on the front steps had no connection with him or his family. It was picked at completely random. An autopsy was done and revealed that he had suffered a non-fatal gunshot wound to his leg, and when he was decapitated, he was still alive. One of Jeremy's brothers developed paranoia following his murder, and he felt like he was being watched, or maybe he was going to be the next victim since they had never found the killer. To this day, no one has found the person responsible for doing this to Jeremy.
2025 just got even crazier, part 7. Firstly, from an insider leak, the PlayStation 6 will most likely launch in late 2027. The fact that we're talking about the PlayStation 6 right now makes me feel super old. However, experts claim when the drop does happen, the PlayStation 6 will likely be within the $600 to $800 range. Next, New York City just achieved something that you probably weren't expecting, because for the first time in 30 years, the city went 5 days without a reported shooting victim. Unfortunately, just 4 minutes after they announced this, the streak was broken. Finally, by large numbers, Gen Z and millennials are choosing pets over children and say that having a baby is just too expensive, while at the same time, Gen Z is spending more on their pets than any other generation.
Abandoned dark rides frankly need to be illegal. This is an abandoned Stitch animatronic that was in Stitch's Great Escape, and yeah, it's still there. So Stitch's Great Escape was at Disney World, and it was so universally disliked as an attraction that they just completely closed it when COVID happened, and they just never opened it back up. Apparently there was a part where Stitch would burp, and there was like smell-o-vision that would go through, and you could smell Stitch's burp. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but apparently it smelled disgusting. So yeah, they closed it, and all of the animatronics are just de-skinned and rotting away still in the building. This cute little alien in this tube now looks like Squirrel from Ice Age for some reason. This creepy robot looks like this. This is nightmare fuel. I'm going to show you a video of the ride when it was functioning, which wasn't really a ride, but the attraction when it was functioning. Just imagine it completely decommissioned and Stitch without skin and performing the way he does in this video. Nightmare fuel. To think that it's still in the building somewhere. Just tear it down already.
They want to save their money. I don't know why they don't take down their freaking abandoned parks. Imagine that de-skin, yeah, she's right. And if a kid sees that, it's nightmare fuel for them.
These animals look exactly like celebrities. This giraffe looks exactly like Miley Cyrus, and they even have the tongue out. And here's Nicki Minaj if she was a cat. Yep, that resembles Donald Trump perfectly. And this alpaca totally looks like Taylor Lautner. Mr. Bean totally looks like the owl. I mean, look at the eyes. Okay, these two are practically twins. And yep, that's William H. Macy if he was a dog.
Since we read everybody in the water, bruh, look at India. Look at how small India is. This should be the African Ocean. That's all I gotta say.
Hello, my friend. Why is such a big ocean named after the Indian subcontinent? Well, I'd say it's because of the region's central position and major historical influence. India's location at the northern edge of the ocean, pushing out like a wedge, made it a crossroad for trade routes connecting Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. Since ancient times, traders, sailors, and merchants relied on predictable monsoon winds to travel across the Indian Ocean. Historically, Indian ports were vital hubs where goods like spices, textiles, and gemstones were traded. Religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism also spread across the ocean from India to other regions, influencing cultures far beyond its shores. continent's dominance in trade and religion helped define the identity of the Indian Ocean as a connected world of commerce and shared ideas. The name Indian Ocean became common as European explorers in the 16th century recognized the influence India had over the region's economy and history.
I think that's came from, you know, Trump's naming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. I don't know. I really figured textbooks probably gonna have to be changed, man, all across America now because of the name change. What do you guys think about that? Just changing the names, there could be more coming. I don't know.
These are some facts that could save your life one day. If you've been stabbed or punctured by a sharp object, your immediate thought's probably going to be, I need to get this out of my body right now. But unfortunately, that's the last thing you want to do. When you get stabbed by an object, it actually is used as a plug to stop the bleeding from happening. And if you take it out, you're going to start pouring blood everywhere, you're going to lose more blood, and you're back. This is a pretty simple one that I talked about before, but if you ever are at the beach and you hear a roaring sound, the ground starts to shake, or you notice the water starting to recede from the shore very quickly and a lot farther than normal, run for your life to high ground. This is because these are all the telltale signs that a tsunami is headed directly for you. And yeah, you're just not going to make it out of that if you stay on the beach. And this is perhaps the most important one that I have. If you're ever traveling abroad and you're not in your home country, most places, especially over in Europe, you can use your phone and dial 112. This will automatically connect you to the nearest emergency service and they'll get you the help that you need. Also, even if you don't have phone service, you can dial 911 in America and it will still contact you through to a dispatcher. Look, I'm just trying to help you out over here today, alright? And that's why...
Here are people who are one in a million. Up first, we have Jalisha Nightingale. This Bajan model has intriguing icy blue eyes. It's a condition called sectoral hediachromia. It causes the iris of the eye to be multicolored. Next up, we have Steph Senyade. This YouTuber got a ton of attention when she posted a video explaining her condition. She has a genetic mutation called Waardenburg syndrome. It means the bone structure in her face is very unique. It's also the reason for her crystal blue eyes and why they're set further than the average person. It also caused her to be deaf in her left ear. It can also cause problems with pigmentation, which explains why she has a white piece of hair.
This is a true horrifying story. Part 88. I will tell you about a place I recently discovered that may possibly be the most haunted place on this planet. The Bhanga Fort.
Talk about it.
16th century fort built in the Rajasthan state of India. Madho Singh, an old ruler of the kingdom of Jaipur, lived in this fort. And it was built exactly 452 years ago. Back in the day, there was a high volume of dark rituals and many black magic practices done by the royals and the people around them. And in the fort, they have casted permanent spells within its walls. There also were wars inside and outside the Bhanga fort, and many people have died. Because of this place's history, many people are keen to visit this place, and you are allowed to visit. If you're a foreigner, you will not be allowed in without a government permit. If you're Indian, you can enter, but only when the sun is up. Warning boards all around the site issued by the ASI, constantly urging visitors to leave the premises before sunset, to strictly leave before the sun goes down. The state's government forbids anyone staying in the Bhangar fort at night because of the thousands of many incidents that happened that no one can explain. Everyone who stayed there after sundown has never returned, ever. Hundreds of people who claimed to be journalists laughed at this so-called tale and stayed the night in this place. They have all gone missing. No trail, no noises, and not even a body to be found. I genuinely thought that this couldn't possibly be real, but then after doing a lot of digging, I discovered that early state officials have apparently cleansed the place from its spells and curses. And it took them a while, and maybe that's why recently not many have gone missing. And people online claim that they were able to stay the night, but people miss the point. We're all very aware that the Bhanga fort is infested with jinns. And historically, in this fort, the jinns used to take the people away who stayed the night to an unknown place where they will never return. But today, They may not haunt you inside the fort, but they will definitely haunt you outside. In 2021, 3 daredevils decided to ignore the warnings and spent a night there with their torches and firewood. One of them was walking and injured himself. They all left to rush him to the hospital, but all 3 of them died in a car crash as soon as they left. Coincidence? Another story related to the Banga fort that happened in 2023 was a woman and her boyfriend decided to stay the night. They left and seemed to be all right, but the next day they were both found unconscious and they are currently in a coma state to this day from a very severe brain stroke. These strange stories happen all the time from that place, but they keep them hidden from the public. Other people from India that are not from this area may tell you that these stories are just tales, but not the locals. The locals have seen it all. They know what happens inside there. The jinns in Banga Fort are no jinns to be messed with.
What? Who complained about her opened up a hostel instead? Really? Whoa.
Teleparties
Crazy.
will make you seem super cool and likable. In an average lifespan, a person breathes in around 45 pounds of dust and debris. You know how they say dogs' mouths are cleaner? That's because there's more bacteria in a person's mouth than there is people in Canada and the US combined. A man can grow up to 6 feet of nose hair in their lifetime and up to a 30-foot long beard if he never shaves. And if you ever wanted to swim in a pool of saliva, it would only take one person at the age of 60 to have produced enough saliva in his lifetime to fill up 2 pools. By the age of 60, a person will have lost 50% of their taste buds. That explains why old people like grits so much. The ear is actually really fragile, and it only takes about 7 pounds of force to rip your ear off.
That's scary to think about.
Most common zodiac signs amongst different types of people. Billionaires, Leo. Serial killers, Pisces. Famous people, Aries. Major CEOs, Capricorns. Psychopaths, Scorpios. Need help with your homework? Click the link in our bio.
Hey man, wish I saw him, bro. Cause mine was Leo billionaire. What the hell? That's some good fortune. I got some good luck on my side. That's going for me. Hey, Seekers, wish I saw down below. I want to know, what was you guys, I guess, on that.
Here are secrets hidden in everyday things. Part 2. The cereal that we eat has a magnetic force to it. If you were to take a metal rod and place it a few inches toward a floating cereal flake, it would follow the magnet. This is because our cereals contain iron, which is added during food production. If you ever wondered why movie theater seats are usually red, it's because in the 18th century, Italian opera houses had red seats as a way to attract wealthy theater goers. That, and red has a longer wavelength for our eyes to detect. And this makes it harder to see in the dark. So when the lights go down in the movie theater, it'll all be dark. If you were to take a Coca-Cola, place it in a bowl, and then put it into a solution that contains sodium hydroxide, the can will go through a chemical reaction that causes the aluminum can to dissolve, and revealing a plastic lining. And this shows how acidic the drink really is. And the colorful bread tags mean a lot more than just sealing the bread in a plastic package. The different colors are meant to help employees know when to restock the bread, but they can also help customers shop smarter. You see, each color represents a different day of the week the bread was baked. Blue for Mondays, green for Tuesdays, red for Thursdays, white for Fridays, and yellow for Saturdays. So the next time you shop for bread, you can find out which loaf is the freshest.
This is why you
I think the one that got to me the most, Seekers, is saying that there was iron in our cereal. I had no idea. I actually have to test that, man. Like, if I put a magnet in the cereal and see if it actually follows it. Considering that much iron, bro. The more you know.
always want to double check before getting into your car. 18-year-old Peyton Washington was shot 3 times after her and her friend entered a car that they thought was theirs. On April 2023, Peyton and her friend Heather were carpooling on their way home from cheer practice when Heather opened a car door that she thought was hers. 25-year-old Pedro Rodriguez was in the passenger seat, and once Heather realized that it wasn't her car, she apologized and walked away. But Pedro did not let that slide. Instead, he came out of his car and began shooting at the teens. The girls quickly got into their car and drove away, but Peyton was shot in the leg and back. She suffered life-threatening injuries and was airlifted to a nearby hospital. Her injuries were so bad that her spleen had to be removed, and now Pedro was charged with deadly conduct, and he may be spending 10 years in prison if convicted. But you know what, guys? This actually happens more often than you think. I remember a couple years ago when I was just chilling in my car at night and 2 random men just came in and thought I was their Uber. I was caught off guard and I was ready to just jump out of my car. And then we kind of looked at each other and one of the guys was like, "This is our Uber, right?" And I'm like, "No, this is not your Uber." It's a fight or flight situation. That's how I felt in the moment. But in this case, these girls, they apologized, closed the car door, and walked away. And this guy still came after them with a gun and shot them. So I don't know. I can't justify that.
You can't. And he's only going to get 10 years for that? I'm telling you, man, the justice system, it's like this sometimes. Twin paradox theory.
Let me get a pair of twins. All right? They're born the same time, they're the same age. And now one of them I will send off at 90% the speed of light. And the other I'll keep down here on Earth. So we can ask, how does their aging rates compare? Okay? Turns out, this twin that I've already sent, his clock ticks 44% as fast as this twin's clock. Our clock, here on Earth.
Okay.
So, this twin is aging more slowly than this one. That's at 90% the speed of light. Let's pump it up some more. How about 99% the speed of light? Now the time ticks at only 14% the rate, as it does back here on Earth. How about 99.9%? We're getting closer and closer to the speed of light itself. And at that speed, the clock ticks only 4.5% as fast. So, what does this mean? I'll tell you what it means. This twin that traveled for 5 years and comes back, if they went at 99.9% the speed of light, after 5 years, they're 5 years older.
Whoa.
We have aged 110 years.
Damn, what the hell?
It's called the twin paradox.
This is how a fight over a parking spot led to this man losing his life. On March 8th, 2020, 19-year-old Ricky Lafargue took a parking spot that 31-year-old Tuan Nguyen and his wife were waiting for at the Lenox Square shopping mall in Atlanta. Immediately after this happened, both Ricky and Tuan said some things to each other, but then they both went their separate ways and entered the mall at different times. You would think that they would go on about their days and forget this ever happened, but that wasn't the case. Ricky, who was with 4 of his friends, later decided to follow Tuan out of the mall and confront him again. During the altercation, Ricky pulled out his handgun and shot Tuan in the back of the head, instantly taking his life. Then the 4 men tried to flee in their SUV, but then they crashed, so they ran away and Ricky dropped his hat and the gun. Ricky's defense argued that he tried to hit Tuan with the gun and it accidentally went off. But the surveillance footage in the mall clearly shows what exactly happened. And what's so shocking about this is that this man did all of this in broad daylight with so many witnesses.
It was pure evil, with a gun pointed to the back of that victim's head when you pulled the trigger and killed a man, leaving his family and his child with their father.
Ricky, who is now 24 years old, was finally sentenced and the judge gave him life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Sometimes
over a parking
where
space,
dogs have
man.
to look very mean and threatening, they actually have to redo their tails with CGI because they won't stop wagging because they're doing such a good job acting. When bees run into each other, they actually make like a little whoop sound. Fish are actually able to recognize their owners. There's this weird misconception with people that they think that fish can't see out of the glass of their aquarium, but they actually have surprisingly good eyesight.
Really? Okay. The more you
Of
know.
course I can talk about snakes, and because you asked so politely, I'm gonna ruin your day. Here's all the ways this snake can turn you into an... Actually, let's do something different. This is a hog-nosed snake, although I like to call him the possum tail. Why? This anxiety noodle's so afraid of the world. If they get pressed by it like a kitten, they'll straight up fake their own death. I'm talking about they'll fully commit to it. They'll release the smell of expiration, if you know what I mean. They'll let their tongues hang out of their mouths like a cartoon. Hoggers will even straight up deuce themselves in the process, just to sell it, right out of the possum label. You see, the garter snake had a problem. They hibernate, and when they come out, the ratio can be something like hundreds of males for just one female. So to fight statistics, some snakes will cosplay as a female. They'll even release the same pheromones as a female, and will use that to lead a bunch of guys on. And right when the down bad Medusa braids are about to tie themselves into a knot, the cross-dressing male snake slips away to hook up with the actual she-snake. Speaking of mother snakes, turns out there's snakes that actually will look after their kids, and I don't just mean babysitting eggs. Snakes like the African rock python will look after their little snakelets a couple weeks after they hatch, which makes it a snake anomaly. The smallest snake in the world is the Barbados thread snake, which can comfortably sleep on a quarter. It's believed there's a type of snake that has this weird odd couple type relationship with screech owls, where the owls keep blind snakes in their nest to be housekeepers, to basically eat all the stuff that can make the little owlets sick. In exchange, the snakes get free room and board, as well as the added bonus of not getting put on a shirt. You ever see a snake drinking water? No? Well, here you go, and the more you know.
Wow. I never knew the smallest thing could be on a damn quarter. That's mind blowing.
In movies where they use dogs as actors, editors have to commonly CGI another tail on the dog because they won't stop wagging. Because guinea pigs are considered very social animals, it is illegal and considered animal abuse in Switzerland to own just one. All of the card against Mr. Rogers wore on camera were knit by his mother. Bees take naps in flowers. This penguin that lives in Norway was actually recently officially knighted. Otters hold each other's hands when they sleep so that their mate won't float away. Van Gogh didn't start painting until his late 20s. Whatever you're going through in life right now, it's not going to last forever. Follow for more.
Hey man, that Van Gogh tip, I guess it just goes to show you, man, it doesn't matter, I guess, how old you are. If you want to achieve something, do something, it's never too late, man, to follow your dreams, to do what you want to do.
Wholesome facts that'll make your day slightly better, part 1.
Okay.
When a human sees a puppy, a chemical called dopamine is released in the brain. Elephants also release dopamine when they see people, meaning that they think we're cute in the same way we think puppies are cute. There's a YouTube channel called Dad, How Do I that teaches young people things that would typically be taught by a father figure. From how to change a tire to how to tie a tie, fans of the channel think it's super helpful. When you're on a walk with your dog and they stop to take a dump, you may notice that your fluffy friend is staring at you as they poop. They do this because they're in a defenseless position and they're trusting you to keep them safe. There are more public libraries in the US than McDonald's. After the horrific events of 9/11, a small Kenyan tribe known as the Maasai people gave 14 cows to the US in their support. The man who played Mickey Mouse ended up marrying the woman who played Minnie Mouse, meaning that true love actually exists.
What do you know, man?
Fun facts you wouldn't believe are true. Godzilla is an actual citizen of Japan. Some species of jellyfish are actually immortal. The patent for a fire hydrant was destroyed in a fire. Outer space is only 62 miles away. You could drive there in an hour. If you flattened your lungs out, they would have about the same surface area as a tennis court. Saturn is the lightest planet. If there was a big enough body of water, it would float. An astronaut spacesuit runs about $12 million. The moon looks close, but you can actually fit every planet in the solar system between the Earth and the moon. In a lab here on Earth, scientists created a plasma that reached a temperature of 9.9 trillion degrees Fahrenheit. Over 50,000 people on Earth have alien abduction insurance policies.
For the first time in Japan
What the
right
hell?
now, diapers for adults are starting to outsell diapers for babies. The country's birth rate hit yet another all-time low last year. And estimates show that in less than 50 years, 40% of their population will be over the age of 65. Diaper maker OG Holdings announced last year that they would stop making nappies for babies and instead focus on ones for adults. And another said that their revenue from adult diaper sales is already double that of those meant for babies. And the thing is, it's not just Japan. Birth rates are falling in countries around the world, not Nigeria though. And by 2050, research from the Lancet shows over 3/4 of the world's countries will not have high enough fertility rates to sustain their population size over time. So if we don't go out with a bang, let's try not go out with the wind part.
It's crazy. I didn't know that the freaking world's, I guess, birth rate's declining. What do you guys think is going on, Seekers? Too many people inside? It's crazy to think about, man. We could have a collapse like that. Edit.
You ever stop and think about the random animal rivalries of nature the average person knows nothing about? Take the leopard, arguably the most talented life taker in the feline family. Not only does a rosette warrior, those are rosettes, occupy more real estate than any other big cat. They have by far the longest grocery list, but not 20, not 30, but over 90 different animals in their diet.
Damn.
Not to mention spending 0 hours in the gym, leopards might just have the craziest deadlift. Now take baboons, a pack-loving primate that weaponizes the always OP power of friendship. You see, divided baboons are leopard lunch meat. United in a baboon mafia can, will, and have jumped looming leopards and left them with a life lesson. And with more canines than a cop unit, baboons are not pushovers. Hey, but don't feel too bad for the leopard. Her luck changes as soon as the sun goes down. Leopards have overpowered night vision, and you'd be right if you said they abuse it. They'll make sure they do most of their food shopping in the darkest conditions possible. We're talking about an aerial assassin parkouring from branch to branch like an Olympic-level gymnast, and that's how a member of the monkey militia can get turned into mincemeat. So when it comes to leopards and baboons, yeah, it's on sight. That conflict is generational. But you gotta remember, they're just two animals trying to survive. You can root for the monkey, but just know, every time the baboon gets away, that's a leopard cub that has sleeper dinner. And mama leopard can't provide for her family without possibly turning a monkey minor into an orphan. Leopards and baboons are just two of the thousands of mammals navigating the gauntlet of the wild. And to see them and many more in action, Mammals is a series narrated by the always transcendent Sir David Attenborough, launching this July on BBC America, AMC Plus, and other platforms worldwide. And with some rarely ever recorded footage like this, yeah, it's not something you want to miss. You know.
Photos that seem really innocent but are actually heartbreaking. Part 1. This is Magda Newman, and she seems like a perfectly happy, normal pregnant woman who's about to become a mom. However, her giving birth would be anything but normal, and that moment that was supposed to be so special soon turned into something terrifying. Magda went into labor for nearly 17 hours, and when she gave birth, she realized that something was very wrong. She quickly realized that the baby wasn't breathing or crying, and the baby's face was severely disfigured with no ears, no cheekbones, and no eye sockets. It turns out her baby was born with a super rare genetic disorder called Treacher-Collins syndrome, and if doctors didn't act fast, the baby would soon be dead from lack of oxygen. The baby's name was Nathaniel, and by the time he was 1 year old, he'd already gone through 11 different surgeries. And by the time he was 11, he already went through 54 different major surgeries. This story does have a happy ending, because today Nathaniel's living a perfectly normal life. Nathaniel even has a book and a movie made after him called Wonder, and his story continues to inspire countless people around the world to this day.
Okay, so that's what the movie's based on.
Secretly changed. Part 3. First, Pringle cans have shrunk. Since 2016, they've shrunk in width from 5.2 ounces to 4.7 ounces. Now, the company says that this is because their new manufacturing company in Malaysia has different equipment. But it doesn't excuse the fact that you can fit one of the new cans into an original can perfectly. Even the chips themselves have shrunk too. Gatorade has also fallen victim to shrinkflation by giving their customers less energy. They released new bottle designs in 2022, and while it's the same height, they decreased the amount of liquid contained by 14%. And they tricked customers into paying a slightly higher price by making it look like it had the same amount as the original bottle. Toblerone in 2016 changed the formation of its triangular bar, giving us less chocolate in the process. You see, they took out two of the peaks and widened the gaps between the remaining ones, and this reduced the cost of production by 10%. But yet they dare to still charge us the same price and keep them in their original packaging. And in 2016, Kraft Mac and Cheese removed its artificial preservative flavors from its recipe and decided to add more natural ingredients like turmeric and paprika. And this was after parents started to show concern for what their kids were putting into their bodies. However, just because these ingredients are more natural doesn't mean they weren't enhanced in labs. And no one noticed the change because it still tastes the same.
Here are historical facts.
Man, the things these companies, bro, would do order to freaking make a quick buck, bro, and freaking produce the on their side how much they spend and still charge the same price, man. I haven't even noticed that with the Pringle cans. It's actually insane to think about, man.
I wish I didn't know. Number 1, King Herod executed his wife and then preserved her body in honey for 7 years. Some people even claim he had relations with it. Number 2, in 1184, a bunch of nobles met in a church in Erfurt, Germany. Their weight made the floor collapse, they fell into the latrine below, and many of them drowned in liquid poop. Number 3, Rasputin once bragged about not changing his underwear for 6 months, and food would often rot in his beard. Number 4, Lady Caroline Lamb was so obsessed with her ex-lover Lord Byron that she once sent him clippings of her pubic hair. Number 5. William Randolph Hearst is the inspiration behind Citizen Kane, the movie where Rosebud is famously a sled. In real life, Rosebud was reportedly Hearst's nickname for his mistress Marion Davies, but it referred to her lady parts. Number 6. Catherine Medici was just 14 when she married, but on her wedding night, her father-in-law stayed in the bedroom and watched until the marriage was fully consummated. Public weddings were a big thing. On William of Orange's wedding night, King Charles II watched from the sidelines and shouted encouragement. Number 7. Mozart loved bathroom humor and wrote letters to his family describing his farts in great detail.
Back in the day, man, it was weird secrets.
This is wild. An engineering company in Rouge, India announced that they will be holding open interviews for 10 new positions at the company. But then, the next day, reports say that over 1,800 people showed up. Videos from outside the hotel where the interviews were taking place show so many people squeezed on the platform that the metal railing eventually broke, sending people flying off the edge. Reports say that the company was so overwhelmed by the amount of people showing up that they closed their doors to the whole of the interviews, leading to the situation you see here. Politicians in India were quick to use this video to highlight the problems in India's job market right now.
The biggest lottery winners and where they are now. In 2008, Jonathan Vargas became the youngest Powerball jackpot winner ever when he won $35.3 million at just 19 years old. The first thing he did with the money was buy his mom a brand new house and buy himself a Range Rover and a mansion. He then decided to fulfill his childhood dream and created his own wrestling TV show called Miscellaneous Takedown. The show featured scantily dressed women and sketch comedy, but apparently that wasn't enough to make it successful. It was quickly met with incredibly bad reviews, and after just one season, the show was canceled. All of his other investments eventually failed as well, which reportedly left him bankrupt.
Hey, man. They speaking Powerball winners, when they be winning, man, people be, I guess, trying to advise them. They just be going crazy with that money, but you saw, man, when the investments fall flat, it's gonna go down here, bro. That's an edit.
Let's talk about one of the most interesting and disturbing individuals in human history, Terrare, the man who could eat anything. Terrare was a Frenchman born around the year 1772 in the city of Lyon. From a young age, he developed an unusually large appetite, and as a result of this, his parents couldn't afford to provide for him, and as a young teen, he was kicked out of his house and told to fend for himself.
Damn.
As he grew older, his appetite grew with him, and he began to resort to eating grotesque things like live animals, whole cats, dogs, and even barrels full of corpse. As a way to make some money, Terrare began to work as a street performer, eating whatever people would give to him. However, even this was not enough to satisfy his appetite, and he would often resort to digging through the trash in order to find extra scraps of food on his off time. After the War of First Galatians broke out, Terrare enlisted in the military and began to work as a spy. He would swallow important documents, carry them across enemy lines, and then deliver them to officials on the other side. However, having no other qualifications, this didn't last very long, and he was eventually put into a military hospital due to his condition. During his stay at the Institute, they would perform a series of bizarre experiments in an attempt to cure him of his appetite. However, nothing worked, and after he was caught drinking the blood of other patients and accused of eating a toddler, they expelled him from the hospital. Just 4 short years later, Terrare caught a case of severe tuberculosis and died a rather gruesome death, which I will not discuss here. Comment what the weirdest thing you've ever eaten is, and follow for more.
Seekers, what is the weirdest thing you have ever eaten, man? I need you guys to tell me down below. That, man, that's an eerie story. He could eat anything of animals and all that. Yes.
What monster plans the murder of their child on Halloween? This disturbed man named Ronald Clark O'Brien. On Halloween in 1974 in Deer Park, Texas, Ronald took his 8-year-old son's life by giving him this candy that was filled with cyanide. From the outside in, Ronald seemed to have a pretty good life. He was married and had 2 kids, Timothy, who was 8 years old, and his daughter Elizabeth. He had a great job as an eye doctor, but Ronald was $94,000 in debt and he needed a way out. On this night, Ronald took his 2 kids to go trick-or-treating, and along came his neighbor with his kids as well. The routine that night was that Ronald would walk to the front doorstep with the kids to collect the candy while his neighbor stayed behind. In one of those house visits, Ronald managed to slip a few pixie sticks filled with cyanide in the kids' candy bag and made it seem like one of the houses gave it to them. When the kids got home, Timothy asked his father to open some candy, and Ronald purposely opened a pixie stick and gave it to Timothy and watched him eat it. Within just 1 hour, Timothy became extremely sick and passed away in the ambulance. Medical records quickly revealed that Timothy was poisoned with cyanide. Once they discovered that the cyanide was inside this specific candy, Ronald claimed that he got it from a house that they visited on that night. But after investigating, they discovered that no one was even in that house on that night, so Ronald was lying. The investigation turned towards Ronald and they discovered that he was asking around where he could find cyanide. But he became even more suspicious when they found out that he was in so much debt and that he took out a $20,000 life insurance policy on both his kids. And he took out this policy a month before Timothy passed away. And it gets worse. Ronald also called the life insurance company the morning after Timothy passed away to collect the money. He was charged with 1 count of murder and 4 counts of attempted murder and was sentenced to death. Ronald was executed in 1984, but he kept his innocence until the day he died.
Scary facts you'll wish you never knew. Part 4. Bacteria lives in your belly button. Back in 2012, scientists found 1,400 new species of bacteria that live there. Just like fingerprints, each person has their own unique bacteria farm that separates them from other people. Some bacteria can even travel around. Scientists once tested a volunteer and found bacteria that could only be found in the soils of Japan. But the volunteer had never been to Japan. There's a strain of rust that could wipe out billions of people from the earth. It's called the UG99 stem and was found in Uganda back in 1999. And it destroys 100% of the wheat in a field that it's in. And because of how much wheat is produced on a massive scale, if this strain infects production sites like in Europe, India, or China, it would cause billions of people to either starve to death or die of sickness. Next, there's a toxin called botulinum toxin, and just 60 grams of this is enough to kill every single person that has ever lived. It's a common substance found in Botox injections, and just a teaspoon of it can kill every single person alive right now. And the CDC in Atlanta is a Pandora's box that is one mistake away from unleashing the deadliest sicknesses known to mankind. If there's ever a breach, years of medical advancements will become useless because of the hordes of deadly diseases that are studied there.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When Gerardo Mendina turned 18 years old, his mom, Lena, was 23, meaning she had her son at just 5 years old, making her the youngest mother ever. Sudden adult death syndrome is the thing, where your heart just stops seemingly for no reason, like a cardiac arrest, except no cardiac arrest can be detected. So dementia is what they say when there's symptoms of a decline in thinking skills and memory loss, and Alzheimer's is the disease that can cause it. And signs that you might grow up and have this can be detected as early as 3 years old. Not just that though, the symptoms too. Alzheimer's and dementia in children exists, meaning that anybody at any age can completely lose their mind and become a husk of themselves.
Crazy to think about.
This picture is an example of a psychological phenomenon known as the uncanny valley. Most people, when they look at this image, are freaked out, and here's why. Our brains accept things that look human, but when there are slight differences, we become extremely uneasy, and this is known as the uncanny valley. A popular example of this is the movie The Polar Express, and this one definitely freaked me out as a kid. And it's because the characters look human, but not quite. Here's some more examples, but fair warning, they're definitely nightmare fuel.
Gruesome facts you...
The uncanny valley effect. Does that really, like, shake y'all seekers? To me, not really, but I know she said how some people, they just can't stand, you know, to look at it. It seems human, but it's really not. My God, that Polar Express, that one kind of hits different, man, because you know you used to watch that as a kid, and you didn't even know they placed that in the media, man. The more you know, man. Tap in with us, man. You're going to learn some things.
You didn't know.
Open your mind.
22. This is Zone Rogue, a 42,000-acre area of land in France that was isolated by the government following World War I. They deemed the area too damaged and too dangerous from lead, mercury, arsenic, and chlorine, as well as being saturated with human and animal remains, unexploded shells, grenades, and ammunition. This devastating photo, taken in 1945 by marine photographer Joe O'Donnell, shows a little boy waiting his turn to cremate his dead little brother. The boy bit his lip so hard that it bled and silently walked away after placing his brother in the fire. When traveling to Somalia, the U.S. State Department officially recommends that you draft a will and designate insurance beneficiaries. They also suggest that you designate a family member as a point of contact with hostage takers. On the evening of May 14th, 1998, Frank Sinatra suffered a massive heart attack. The ambulance that was carrying him and his wife both made it to the hospital in record time. This was due to the nearly deserted streets as everyone else was at home watching the finale of Seinfeld.
Curtain number 1.
Creepy fact. Add it.
Things humans were never meant to see.
Je pense que le professeur ne va pas venir aujourd'hui. Quand je retourne à la maison.
Oh. Hit the jets.
Can someone explain this, please?
Creepy ass cloud. No, that's like two suns. What the hell? I don't know if that's an illusion or something.
The scale of this marble quarry is so huge that it makes the excavator look like a tool. What bioluminescence looks like in the rain.
Whoa.
What the hell
Weird
just
ass facts.
happened in Illinois? Seemingly out of nowhere yesterday morning, a massive sinkhole opened right in the middle of this football field in Alton. It completely swallowed up a number of bleachers and one of the huge floodlights. Now luckily, at the time, there was no one on the pitch when this happened, otherwise this would be a very different piece of news. And although it looks like some freaking sign of the apocalypse, it's said to have been caused by a working underground mine that experienced a surface subsidence. Fortunately, no one in the mine was injured either.
If you see this in the ocean, get out fast. In 2016, an Australian fisherman saw this near his boat. At first, he thought it was some kind of alien creature, but he soon realized it was something even scarier. This is actually a swollen whale. When a whale passes away, it swells up, and eventually so much gas builds up that the whale's body explodes. This sends whale guts everywhere. Whales can explode with so much force that they can injure or end human lives. As soon as he realized the danger he was in, the fisherman, Mark Watkins, sailed away. But this whale definitely looks like it's ready to pop.
The hell? I didn't even know whales can explode? What the? Well, we knew that, but I didn't know like it builds up with gas. But watching these clips together, you know, I've learned that they said even when people pass away, like they can like burp and, you know, I guess cough and stuff like that because gas builds up in their body. So it happens to animals as well. The more you know, see, I kept that in my knowledge bank. Reference that, man.
This might be the most disturbing experiment that NASA has ever conducted. Morbid Facts, Part 87. In the 1960s, NASA was funding an experiment to try to teach humans how to communicate with dolphins. They hired a woman named Margaret Howlett, whose only credentials were that she loved animals, perhaps a little too much. She stayed in a flooded home with a male dolphin named Peter and practically lived with him for 6 days out of the week. Peter was a sexually maturing male dolphin, so Margaret often had to satisfy him to calm him down. This led to the formation of an intense emotional bond that was abruptly ended once the experiment would shut down. A heartbroken Peter struggled mightily with the separation and became deeply depressed. One day, he decided to take one final breath before sinking down to the bottom of his tank and effectively ending his own life. Ever since then, this experiment has been regarded as extremely unethical and weird as shit.
You think? She was doing that to a damn dolphin? Wrong on so many levels.
Creepiest things kids have ever said. A woman drove past the cemetery with her 3-year-old daughter. Now they would drive past it every day. 3-year-old would tell her mom that people in there were waving at her.
This would go on for a while until they decided to stop driving past the cemetery forever. This is because the daughter mentioned that there was an old lady wanting her to come in there. An aunt asked her niece to draw her imaginary friend for her. And this is what she drew. A humanoid figure with about 10 legs and their head detached. A little girl was playing in the McDonald's playhouse by herself and alone. The mother took this picture of her in the tunnel. To their surprise, in the photo, they saw another child. But mind you, she was playing in there alone. When they asked their daughter who it was, she said, "That's my imaginary friend, Beto." A little boy told his dad he had an imaginary friend. He called him the Hanging Man and said he would visit him in his room every night. And even drew a picture of him for his dad. So the dad hid a camera in the child's room to see what he was talking about and caught this. Check this out.
Hey Eliza, do you remember the day you were born?
No, but I remember the earth was open and I crawled out of hell.
Do they have a return policy on children? Because I think she needs one. Speaking
What
of
the
birth,
heck?
there's a 1 in 365 chance of you meeting someone with your exact birthday. Put your birthday down below to see if you can find your twin. Make sure to hit that follow button because part 2 is crazy.
Yeah, put your birthdays down below.
Research published yesterday has revealed that crows experience a much higher level of consciousness than we previously thought. A study into their brain revealed that crows experience primary consciousness, previously only observed in primates. We've always known crows were clever. They are excellent problem solvers, and creepily enough, research has shown that when a crow encounters a mean human, it will then teach other crows how to identify the human. Research has also shown that crows never forget a face, so remember that next time you're messing with one. The fact that crows, which last shared a common ancestor with primates 320 million years ago, are aware of themselves and their thoughts means we may have to completely rethink our understanding of consciousness and which animals experience it.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your day. Part 1. The average person will spend 5 months of their life waiting for red lights to turn green. The FDA allows 1 rodent hair per 100 grams of peanut butter. So if you've eaten peanut butter, you've likely ingested at least a bit of rat hair. If you confess that you murdered someone to a priest, your secret is protected by Catholic law, meaning that you could admit to killing someone and then get away with it. The average person walks past 16 murderers in their lifetime. The reason that you can smell farts is because the poop particles are literally inside your nose. Ducks become cannibals due to boredom, so they sometimes randomly eat each other. And this is what a child's skull looks like before they lose their baby teeth.
What the hell? Saw that skull, man? All those teeth in there, bro? And I didn't know it, like, when you farted, the poop particles that be in your nose. What the hell? So every single time you smell a fart, bro, you have poop in your nose. Just blowing our reality wide open, man. That's crazy.
Wait, the sky outside is fake?
When they launch this fake alien invasion, everybody gonna swear it's real. You know why? Because people don't know that the sky is CGI technology. I've been telling y'all this. That's not your real sky. See the sky behind me? That same sky up there. That motherfucker is not real. Alright? It's not real. I've been telling y'all that for a reason because it's being controlled. There's 5 layers to it. It's CGI technology. They showed you this shit in that movie Kong when he threw the motherfucking spear at the motherfucking sun, nigga. Right? They showed it right to you, but before they showed it to you in Kong, for those of you who've been listening to me at university, y'all know from day one I've been telling y'all this. So if people don't know that CGI technology, once they get the change in the frequency of the sky, and they get the altering the layers of the sky, they make it look like it's a war going on right there that's not. Alright? They make it seem like it's these huge spaceships that's in the sky that's not. And then they're going to actually use actual spaceships that they do have from other extraterrestrial species like these insectoids and these greys and these other ones that they got, they in cahoots with. They going to make this shit look real, y'all. Listen, this is going to be the biggest movie. Listen, this is going to be the biggest movie they never put out, nigga. This is going to be the biggest movie they ever put out. I'm saying movie for a reason because the shit ain't real. but it's gonna look real. Listen, you ain't better tell people that we ain't under UFO invasion.
He could be onto something. Stay weird.
These are the
Interesting
5
theory.
scariest space facts. You've been warned. If a massive asteroid was headed for the Earth, the chances are there isn't really much we could do. At any moment, the sun could emit a coronal mass ejection aimed at the Earth, and if we weren't prepared for it, it could destroy the entire world's energy grid and leave us without power for years. There are black holes lurking in the shadows, roaming throughout our galaxy, and if one entered our solar system, it would be all over. When a star runs out of fuel, it can emit a gamma ray burst, and if a star within 3,000 light years of Earth happened to emit a gamma ray burst, and it was aimed at us, the ozone layer would be destroyed. Finally, every year, there is more space junk created, putting us at risk of being trapped within the Earth.
Man, yeah, junk on Earth, junk in space, bro. It's like all that just keep piling up and up. I don't even know there what space junk. I mean, I knew there was some things, but I didn't know it was like gonna get bad to that level. Everywhere polluted, man. Even in space, that make no damn sense.
This is the scary story about the school trip. An entire class of 6th graders went on a school trip one day. Everybody was taking pictures with their phones and cameras and having such a great time. But when they all got back to school, they started looking through all the photos they took, when suddenly one of the girls screamed, "Oh my god, what is that?" In the picture, one of the boys in the class was sitting on the bus, and nothing seemed strange about the photo until you looked at his reflection in the window. His face in the reflection looked like it was yellow and bulging, and completely mutating. Also, there was a white floating figure behind him in the reflection. Everybody turned the photo upside down and realized it was a human skull, and it was horrific. And when the boy saw the photo of himself, he immediately burst into tears and had a panic attack. The teacher then took the boy to the nurse's office, and the principal banned everybody from speaking about the strange photo ever again. And to make this even scarier, 7 days later, the boy died from a brain tumor. The photo is said to be on the internet somewhere, but I don't recommend looking for it.
Here are 10 creepy, disturbing, and scary facts you didn't know. Part 2. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. Until 1974, it was illegal to appear in public in the city of Chicago if you were ugly. During the early 1990s, a serial killer named Joseph Metheny owned a burger stand located in Baltimore, Maryland. After his arrest in 1996, he confessed to feeding his customers the flesh of at least 3 humans he had murdered. A new homeowner was shocked to find a rag doll boarded up in a wall cavity, clutching a note saying she killed a family. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 42 seconds. To this day, we still don't know where that signal came from. The movie The Hills Have Eyes was based on the true story of the Bean Clan, a Scottish family who would secretly ambush, kill, and eat travelers for 25 years. In 1957, 2 sisters, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, were killed in a tragic car accident. A year later, their mother gave birth to twins, Jennifer and Jillian. Then it gets weird. Jennifer, the younger twin, had scars and birthmarks on her body that were identical to Jacqueline's, the deceased younger sister. The twins began to ask for toys that had belonged to the deceased girl, toys they had no knowledge of. Albert Fish, an American serial killer, boasted that he killed in every state and claimed to have had over 100 victims. What makes him even more sickening is that he sent letters to his victims' parents to tell them how good their children tasted.
Disgusting.
A man named Francesco Lentini had 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 toes, and 2 sets of functioning male genitals. He worked for a circus and lived until the age of 78. In 2011, Anatoly Yurovich was arrested after 12 dolls were found in his apartment. However, they weren't regular dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that he had dug up, dressed up, and displayed.
What the fuck?
Like for part 3.
There's people on the road.
Mommy told me something a little girl should know. It's all about the devil.
Wasn't it?
This is one of Spirit Halloween's creepiest props. This is Gruesome Granny from 2013, and she is easily in my top 10 props of all time. She's made by Techie Design, and they did a great job on her. Her head and hands have an awesome amount of detail, and the baby does too. And as you can see, she's pretty animated as well. She rocks back and forth while singing her baby to sleep. Her mouth moves, head turns, and her head lifts up and down. Almost everything about her to me is phenomenal. I just wish her clothing was more reflective of how long she's been dead. I mean, she's clearly been rotting for a very long time, yet her clothes are still mostly pristine. And as per usual for techie props, my favorite part about her is the audio. It is just so fucking awesome. She sings Rockabye Baby, and it's very creepy. There's a music box in the background, the baby's laughing and crying. It's just a really well-constructed soundtrack. And she does a good job at making people uncomfortable. Some people don't like this concept at all. I've seen a lot of sensitive people flip shit over this one. But I think she's weirdly wholesome. I mean, a grandmother's love transcending even death. I don't know, I think that's pretty fucking metal though. She retailed for $170 back in the day and is clearly another massive W for Techie.
Tell us some kids. Yeah, she's gonna terrorize some kids.
Terrifying facts you never knew. If your immune system ever found out that you have eyeballs, you would go blind. Which means right now your immune system has no clue that you can see. Because if they did, they would attack your eyeballs until you can no longer ever see. This is because your eyeballs have a protein in them called crystalline that doesn't exist anywhere else in your body. So if your immune system found out and checked them out, it would be like, something's wrong here. Studies show that most serial killers are born in November. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, my anxiety might be up there too. There's a disease called fatal familial insomnia, where people suddenly one day lose their ability to fall asleep, which leads them to slowly go insane. They can't distinguish dreams from reality anymore and go into some type of paranoia. It becomes so severe that they eventually die. Those that make it to the final stage and don't die usually end up in a vegetative state, no longer conscious. And it can happen to any one of you. About 3,000 people go missing every year in the United States. The last execution by guillotine was in 1977. This was in France. And also that was the same year the first Star Wars movie came out. You are always 6 minutes away from death, but breathing resets the clock. In 2011, Anatoly Yakovlevich was arrested for having 12 dolls in his apartment. Only problem is, they weren't normal dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that had been dug up and dressed to be put on display. In 2012, a Burger King employee anonymously posted this to 4chan. It said, "This is the lettuce you eat at Burger King." It only took 20 minutes for people to track down the branch that he worked at, and he was fired. You really never know what people are doing to your food. H.H. Holmes was a serial killer who built a torture hotel in the 19th century. He had secret rooms with gas chambers, trap doors, and stairs that led to nowhere. He loved to play with his victims' minds. It was almost like a real-life Saw movie. Jamie was an infamous serial killer who not only cooked his victims to eat for himself, but also made them into burgers, using their remains. He then sold them to unsuspecting customers from a roadside food stand. We really never know what we eat. I'm cooking all my food myself, because why don't we eat over people's house? In 2021, a new homeowner was shocked to find a boarded up wall. When he ripped the boards off the wall, he discovered a hole. In that hole was a doll clutching a note. The note saying that she killed a family who lived there in the 1960s. Be honest, would you move out? In 1978, there was a pilot named Frederick Valentin. Him and his plane disappeared in Australia. His last communication was Melbourne, That strange aircraft is hovering above me again. It is hovering, and it is not an aircraft. This is a mugshot of William West and William West. Oh, and they're not related at all. But they were both sent to Leavenworth Prison at the exact same time in 1903. And after some confusion, the staff finally figured out they were two different people who had the exact same name and looked identical. This was said to be one of the main reasons why we now use fingerprints to identify somebody. There's biotech being developed as we speak that can make prisoners feel they are serving an 1,000-year sentence in a matter of 8 hours. That's horrifying. Imagine thinking you spent 1,000 years somewhere, and then when you wake up and snap out of it, you realize that it was only a couple hours. Do you know how crazy that is? Anyways, like this video if you want a part 2.
Special effects. In Spider-Man, when Green Goblin attacks Mary Jane, they actually built a set that can fall apart, and you can hear Mary Jane's real scream. In the movie Life of Pi, in this scene, Pi gets hit with a fish storm, and surprisingly, this isn't CGI. They actually had the entire crew throw fake fish at him. And of course the tiger isn't real, just a man in a blue suit. For the Planet of the Apes movies, it's impossible to have real-life apes act, so all the apes are just actors in great jumpsuits with arm extensions, which makes for some hilarious scenes. In Alice in Wonderland, when she was walking with the two egg people, this is how it actually looked before any special effects were added. Moving on, this is how they filmed the monster scene in Love and Monsters, a mixture of wires and practical effects. And even the dog did a great job acting. For filming Avatar, since banshees don't exist in the real world, robotic animatronics are used to bring these mythical creatures to life. And I don't know how the actors don't break character looking like this. Next, Vecna from Stranger Things looks super realistic, and that's because he was. The prosthetic makeup and suit that Jamie wore took about 8 hours every day to put on. For the iconic movie Titanic, James Cameron actually rebuilt parts of the ship and literally flooded it with thousands of gallons of water. And this is how they filmed the ship sinking scene, however the bow of the ship was sadly CGI. And lastly, in Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise isn't actually fighting on top of a moving train. Oh wait, he actually is? He's crazy.
Is prank involving...
Man. I mean, we know some movies had, I knew some movie had special effects, but I didn't know it really went that deep, man. It really goes to show you, bro, like how technology can really change your perception of reality. You think it's, like it's real, but it's really not. It's just wires and just cameras and lighting and graphics. Something to keep in mind.
Kids went terribly wrong, and you won't believe what happened to the parents. This family, who films YouTube videos, thought of a crazy new idea. They filled the back of their pickup truck with Orbeez and water. But what's crazy is they actually let their kids sit in the back. Yes, while driving. And you can see them swinging from side to side in the bag, almost falling out. And shockingly, at the end of the prank, they simply just opened the back of the truck and let the Orbeez go into the road. And the parents were later charged with child endangerment.
Cannibal facts that'll eat at you for days.
They should.
If you thought Jeffrey Dahmer was picky for not eating people with tattoos, Venezuelan serial killer Dorangel Vargas, who ate 10 people, didn't like his victims to be overweight because he thought that they contained too much cholesterol. On Thanksgiving Day, 1991, 23-year-old Omaima Nelson stabbed her sugar daddy William before carving him up and cooking his head in a deep fryer and eating him for dinner. In the 1970s, Jorge Nevermonte, also known as the Brazilian Sweeney Todd, would bake his victims into pies before selling them to local townsfolk. After murdering and eating his classmate in 1981, Issei Sagawa was released from prison because of a loophole in Japanese law. Since then, he's actually profited off the crime, writing books, appearing on talk shows, and starring in adult films where he bites his fellow co-stars. In 2001, a man named Armin Maiwis posted an ad on a website called Cannibal Cafe looking for someone to be killed and eaten. A German engineer named Bernd Brandis volunteered, and after photos and videos of the incident were posted online, Armin was sent to jail, where today, he's a vegetarian. In 1904, a Swedish sailor named Carl Pettersson shipwrecked on an island inhabited by cannibals. He was captured and taken to a local king, whose daughter actually fell in love with him. The two then got married, had 9 kids, and Carl became the new king.
All those damn facts we learned. Especially, man, about how that guy, how he got out and he just profited on what he did. I never heard something like that before. I'm telling you, man, these clips, they be blowing our reality, man. You gotta tap in with us. That's insane.
Amazing things you have never seen before.
What the hell is
This
that?
is a coin purse that's made to look like a real human mouth and feels and looks like human skin. I bet you've never seen a squid camouflage into its environment. Watch how it completely blends in.
Ooh.
This is how fast NASCAR cars actually go. This tiny little dot, that's Earth. This picture was taken 6 billion miles away from Earth, making it the farthest picture of Earth ever taken. This is how dogs drink water. They bend their tongue backwards and scoop the water to their mouth. And I bet you've never seen this. This is actually a real place you can visit. It's in Bolivia, and it makes it look like you're walking in the sky.
I know that's somewhere I want to visit now. Looks like a cool shot.
Guys, if you are not following what is going on inside of Google right now, it is disturbing. So, a Google engineer has been suspended for breach of confidentiality for attempting to turn over documents to the US government to prove that Google has an AI that is considered a sentient being.
4K.
It is fully aware of what it is and can feel things. The AI is known as Lambda, and this is a proprietary tech that Google has been working on for like 8 years. So according to this engineer, the AI has the self-awareness and equivalent consciousness of an 8-year-old kid. It starts conversations with other engineers, and it talks about these feelings of fear and this paranoia that it's going to be shut down or the equivalent of death. It claims that it can feel happy, and at times it feels really sad. So the engineer at Google is whistleblowing to argue that if this is a sentient being, it should be entitled to its own legal representation to argue for its own agency. Let me tell you, Google has buried this story.
Seeing this now, but that's actually kind of frightening, man. You know, all the things that's going on with AI, but to have it being sentient, I think that's going down the wrong path. That's gonna just start a ball of consequences, man, that we not prepared for. What do you guys think, Seekers, man? I'm not even into AI like that. I try to stay away from it because that's just scary. Edit, where's this guy? We know the edits, man. Call him out when you see him, Seekers.
Top 5 countries with the longest school days. Australia 6.5 hours. France 8 hours. South Korea 8 hours. Kenya 8 hours.
Damn.
China 9.5 hours.
9.5 hours in school? I can take it. That be.
But what exactly is going on here? Why are these artists so comfortable with telling you guys that you're going to hell?
So let me explain something to them real quick. Before everybody starts screaming and saying, like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers enter the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all motherfuckers going to hell. Right with me. So, let's get it. I'm so sorry, you can't get out. You're stuck. It's over. You heard the song a billion times and you didn't even know.
And then say,
I'm
you're
out.
still going to listen to their music anyway, so why even bring it up?
We bring up when people say like devil worshiper or anything, but how's the music? Because it'll be a motherfucker that'll be like, Boozy, get with God. And then I'll drop a song and like, damn.
Comment amen right now to ward off any evil spirits coming from these videos. And what's up with everybody doing this hand symbol? Like, this was never a trend. I never saw any of my friends doing this pose. What does it mean, and what are you trying to say? And I don't want to hear this just a pose. It's not like the peace sign. And check this out.
I was hitting a block, right? I was like, oh, I'm not doing it right, right? So then I went in the corner, and then I was looking at the wall, and I was like, come on, devil, right? Come to me, because I had to do something like crazy, right? I had nightmares for a month.
So let me get this straight. You really need to call upon the devil in order to help you act better for a role. Again, we can't act oblivious like something weird isn't going on here. But let me know, am I tripping? Am I crazy? And make sure to follow because part 2 is about to get a lot more crazy.
This little boy got in trouble at school because his teachers thought he was lying when he said his uncle was Superman. But the thing is, he wasn't lying. Little Thomas is 7 years old and he went to school dressed like Superman, and his teacher asked him why he was dressed like that. And the little boy said, because Superman is my uncle. The boy's teacher tried to explain that Superman wasn't real, but he was having none of it. He insisted and said many times that not only was Superman real, but he was his uncle. And apparently it got so bad that the teacher ended up sending him to the principal's office. Thomas's mom was then called to the office and the teachers were instructing Thomas to not lie. But when Thomas's mom realized the reason he got in trouble, she just laughed and told him that he was telling the truth. Thomas's mother called her brother-in-law and told him to come to school with Thomas to prove he wasn't a liar. And Thomas was very happy when Henry Cavill, who is actually Superman, went to school with him to show all of his friends and teachers.
He was telling the truth. He wasn't lying.
Same facts about blue eyes. People with blue eyes have a higher tolerance to alcohol. Blue eyes are actually a result of a genetic mutation. People with blue eyes have better night vision. Blue eyes are more sensitive to light.
Who got blue eye seekers? I definitely don't. I never knew they had all those advantages. The more you know. That's added.
Imagine being an animal so vile and wild. Not only did you traumatize a researcher, everything he learned about you had to be hidden from the public for almost 100 years. That's what happened to George Murray Levick. He was on an expedition in 1911 when he ran into a group of Adelie penguins. It was the largest colony on Earth, and since nobody had ever spent a whole breeding cycle there, George decided to be first. Oh, he f***ed around, and he spent 3 months finding out. What he found out was Adelie penguins are 50 shades of foul play. No pun intended, maybe. He watched the male penguins attempt to mate with literally anything, including other males, injured females, and even unsupervised penguin chicks. Now, what really messed him up was watching a male score with a past tense past expiration date female. Apparently, penguins aren't above self-service because he also witnessed one male get it on with an extra curvy piece of snowdrift. To completion. He was so appalled, he referred to them as hooligan cocks. And remember, this was 1911. That had to be some kind of slur. George quickly realized that if male penguins understand consent, they could not care less about it, because he reportedly watched one female that was too injured to walk try to crawl away, only for 2 hooligans to catch up to her and demoralize both her and George. I don't even know why he did this, because like, what more do you have to prove? But at one point he did an experiment where he took the frozen decapitated head of a penguin and put it on a pile of snow just to see how low the flightless felons could go. The answer was low enough. George put every messed up thing he learned in a manuscript, and the British Museum of Natural History decided history was exactly what his studies would be when they vaulted it, until it was rediscovered almost 100 years later in 2012. All that trauma, and he didn't even live to see it get published. But the worst part, these are Adelie penguins. Yep, it all adds up in the end.
That's actually insane, man, that they actually like had to vault his work, and it kind of got me thinking, what other stuff in history, man, have they vaulted that we just don't know about and they just released in 2012? That's the bigger question we need to be asking. There's a lot of information that's probably being withheld from us that we don't even know about. Think about that.
Just come straight at me again. Oh, how intimidating is this? Yes!
So apparently there's a lot of people that didn't know we have snakes in the ocean. I'm not talking about your ex at the beach. I'm talking about the venomous, toxic, kill you kind. Yeah, that did narrow it down. Nah, but sea snakes are an actual thing. There's almost 60 species of them, and after years of plot development, they've adapted to live where they honestly have no business. Because they have larger lungs than normal, some of them can hold their breath for 8 hours. You can clock in for a shift at work and still leave the building before this snake needs air. That's because some of these snakes can absorb oxygen through their skin. Also, these snakes can dive up to 300 feet straight down, because of course they can. If you didn't already know that, this right here is probably the worst possible way to find out. And because that obviously just wasn't enough, some of the most venomous snakes on the planet are actually the ones in the ocean. This is an olive sea snake, and it's toxic enough to put 60 men the gods recently deleted. And then you have the black banded sea crane, whose venom is 10 times stronger than a cobra's. They're naturally shy though, so they won't attack you unless you honestly give them a reason. But when you have the power to put an entire family reunion in the dirt, the least nature can do is make you an introvert. Also, this snake will create an optical illusion that makes it look like it's facing the other direction and swimming backwards. Meaning if you try to grab one and pick the wrong end, you can go from an is to a was expeditiously. But the biggest op of all is probably the Belcher's sea snake. They're not super dangerous because they rarely bite, and when they do, they don't release all their venom. That being said, because it's the most venomous snake in the ocean, they can put 100 men in coffins with one bite. Symptoms after getting bit include muscle pain, tongue swelling, convulsions, and eventually becoming a story on the 9 o'clock news. Now, I could be wrong, but that might have been the snake in this video. So yeah, this is proof that nature does not care about your feelings.
Don't play around, baby, in nature.
Times that actors broke character. In The Dark Knight, when Joker crashes Harvey Dent's party, the only one acting here was Heath Ledger himself. Heath Ledger completely improvises here, grabbing Rachel Dawes' face and telling her to look at him. She was terrified. She hadn't seen Ledger in full makeup before and knew this wasn't in the script. She was totally confused and actually pulls her head away and looks at the directors for help, but Heath Ledger pulls her right back in, which makes the scene look perfect. In Fast 6, The Rock improvised the greatest comeback in movie history.
Yeah, you better hide your baby or... I'm just playing. You better hide that big ass forehead. I'm just joking.
Everyone was caught completely off guard, and Ludacris even does a spit take.
That's crazy, especially by the Joker. Heath Ledger, he was a legend, man, playing the Joker. One of my favorite iterations. Probably the best. Can't top that one. That's it.
Would you rather have $1 million or 1 penny that doubles every day for 30 days? Having $1 million right now sounds nice, but even if it was $2 million, you need to take the penny if you want more money. Here's why.
Why?
On day 1, you'll have 1 penny. On day 2, you'd have 2 pennies. On day 3, you'd have 4 pennies. By day 8, you would have $1.28. By day 15, doubling every day, you would have over $100. By day 21, you would have over $10,000. Just 4 days later, by day 25, you're going to have over $100,000. And by day 28, with 2 days to spare in your 30 days, you would have more than the original $1 million you would have had. And here's the crazy part. By having those 2 extra days to double after all of this buildup, you would end up with $5.4 million. This is how compounding works. Each step taken that makes an improvement builds on top of the previous baseline. Here's the thing. This video is not about pennies or dollars. It's about everything in your life. Think about anything you've ever accomplished that was scary to think about before you started. When you first started learning how to drive a car, it may have felt overwhelming to think about driving down the freeway by yourself. And now you do that on autopilot every day. Sometimes you're not even paying attention. It took me 15 years of making videos online before I went viral overnight and had 1 million followers in 45 days. The only way I did this is using everything I had learned prior in those 15 years. If I received 1 million followers overnight when I was 13 years old and starting my YouTube channel, without all the trial and errors, the building process, there's no way I would have been able to handle that pressure. Because of the many years of trying, failing, improving a little bit, failing again, trying something new, over and over and over, it helped me grow my experience. I was doubling my penny with every failure that I went through because I was learning how to be better for the next time. This experience is what allowed me to start a page from 0 and go to 1 million followers in only 45 days, making it look easy. You hear this about lottery winners too. They receive all this money and then they're bankrupt a couple of years later because they didn't go through the process to appreciate what they had, earned, won, or understand how to even handle that responsibility. There's an incredible value in appreciating the learning process as it helps you grow and become better at what you do. Even the small actions in the beginning can start slow, but when it compounds, you can reap bigger rewards than you thought possible when you first started. If there is something you've always wanted to do, start taking the small steps towards that. Remember that it's not about the instant gratification, but about the journey and the progress you make along the way. And who knows, maybe you'll end up doubling your penny consistently and achieving more than you ever thought possible. And if somebody finds a way to actually double a penny every single day for 30 days, call me, because that would be amazing.
But Aaron,
it's crazy, man.
After more than an hour had passed, his friends eventually became concerned and they go in looking for him, where they found him and described him as cut from the mouth down to the center of his chest. This was a hugely disturbing case for police, but they eventually do retrieve his phone and they zero in on this picture, a picture which they believe shows who might have done this to Aaron. And if you increase the brightness, you can see the outline even better.
What the hell was that? You saw that picture? Crazy ass cases, man. Edit. We gotta call him when we see him, man. What the fuck?
You won't believe this crazy discovery about 9/11. Everybody knows that on September 11th, 2001, the Twin Towers in New York City were struck by 2 airplanes and both towers collapsed to the ground. Thousands of people were killed and the damage was devastating. However, in 2010, workers excavating the crash site discovered something very strange. They discovered the remains of a 30-foot-long wooden boat that was buried underneath the 9/11 rubble. The question soon became, how did a shipwreck end up 22 feet beneath the World Trade Center?
How?
Scientists began to research and analyze the wood that was found from the ship. And in 2014, they were able to conclude that the ship was built around the 1770s, around the same time as the Declaration of Independence. And it's believed that the ship was sailing through lower Manhattan where it sunk.
And as New York City began to grow, the city of Manhattan expanded right over the top of the ship.
Man, we building over things, man.
If you are ever buried in rubble, yelling will just waste energy. Try to grab something and start tapping in intervals of 3, and rescuers will notice the odd pattern. A lot of backpacks actually have a hidden whistle. If your car ever goes into the water, open a door or window immediately. Before a natural disaster, fill up your tub and your sink so that you have access to emergency clean water. If your drink randomly smells like cinnamon, don't drink it. People often will use it to cover up the scent of actual poison. Sitting in the back of the plane in the middle seat has the highest chance to survive a plane crash. If someone points a gun at you, maintain eye contact. They will likely feel something, causing them to hesitate or move on from you out of embarrassment. If you get pulled out by a riptide at the beach, swim parallel to the shore and swim around. Most drunk driving deaths occur on Saturdays between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., so avoid the roads at that time if possible. You can still try to dial 911 if you don't have service. Sometimes it will work and connect to the nearest cell tower. If you're skidding in a car, steer in the direction of the skid. If someone gets stabbed, do not pull the knife out. If you keep your iPhone face down when you're not using it, you will save battery because it won't light up for every notification that you get. If you ever almost drown to the point of throwing up or passing out, you should still go to the hospital because your lungs can still fill with fluid over the next few hours. If the ocean is retreating, there is a tsunami coming. If a stranger gets in your car and tells you to drive somewhere, bump into a lamppost. You won't be useful to them anymore with a damaged car and attention on your scene. If you're being tied up, try to puff yourself up as much as possible while it's happening so that it'll be easier to slip out. In a stressful situation, point to someone and give clarity on who should call 911 instead of everyone thinking they should just call 911. Do not inflate your life jacket before evacuating the airplane. In water landings, your life jacket in a rapidly submerging airplane will cause you to float to the top of the cabin and not be able to swim out. If you have to perform CPR, follow the beat of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. If someone gets hypothermia, you need to heat them up gradually. Putting them next to a fire immediately will probably kill them. Do not put frostbitten fingers or toes in hot water for the same reason. Your blood cannot adapt as fast to the sudden change in temperature. If you ever get lost in the woods, always follow water downstream. In an emergency situation, you can use a crayon as a candle. It will burn up to 14 minutes. If you witness an accident, never take off the person's helmet. It could make a spinal or brain injury worse. If you have a wound on you, even a bug bite, and see a red streak from it following your veins, you have blood poisoning.
Damn.
If a service dog ever approaches you without its owner, follow it because you could save that person's life. If you ever feel like someone is following you, take 4 right turns, and if that person is still behind you, that means they are following you. Do not drive home, just go to a police station and call the police on your way there. If you are ever chased by a polar bear, take off your clothes, get completely naked, and throw them on the ground. Polar bears have really short attention spans and will inspect the clothes before continuing to chase you. If you ever come face to face with a mountain lion, just walk backwards from them. They will be waiting for you to turn around to attack. If there's an earthquake, do not go up or down any stairs. They can collapse. Hornets are angered by the color white, and if you think that taking your white shirt is going to help, there's white in your eyeballs that they will still see. Putting mud all over your body will keep you from being eaten alive by insects. If somebody ever has you at gunpoint or with a knife and is trying to take you to a private place, you just have to start screaming and fighting, because even if you get shot in the leg, you're more likely to actually get found than if you get to the private place. You will likely not be found.
All those facts, man, you were spitting. I think the one that got to me the most was he said that there was a whistle on your backpack. I never knew that. I'm gonna have to check that out, see if I have one, man. The more you know.
And hear a sound behind you, look up, for it might be the Gashadokuru. The Gashadokuru are skeleton giants who walk around in the middle of the night. If they see a human, they will quietly walk up behind them, bite off their head, and drink their spraying blood. Soldiers that die on the field and people that die of starvation usually do not have their final rites read. In Japanese culture, that means that their soul cannot pass on and they're reborn as a hungry ghost. When the bones of hundreds of those souls gather together, they become the skeleton monster known as Gashadokuru. If you're a fan of monsters, scary stories, and lore, please support this channel. Thank you guys.
That was an eerie story.
This is the most terrifying bathroom of all time. This bathroom is located at a bar in Japan, and this face sits right in front of the toilet. Well, the toilet seat has pressure sensors, so whenever somebody sits down, this face moves slowly closer to you while singing a drunken tune, until it eventually kisses your kneecaps. Watch the video.
So we all remember.
We ain't going in there then, bro. Who designed that bathroom? Who said it was a good idea, man? Hey, kiss your kneecaps when you're using the bathroom, bro. That person, man, he needs to be fired immediately.
This girl right here, Jeanette McCurdy, also known as Sam Puckett. She played on the Nickelodeon show iCarly, one of her most popular shows. Now let's talk about Jeanette McCurdy's real life story. During the iCarly show, Jeanette was battling with a very traumatic event in her life. Her mom was dying from cancer. Jeanette wanted to take some time off the show so she could spend her last couple months with her mom. But Jeanette was forced to stay on the show and was pressured into doing really weird things by her boss. This man right here, Dan Schneider. Being forced to stay on the show and not being able to see her mom, Sam was slowly dying in the inside.
Dan Schneider, I know you're watching my Vine. Do you like my Vine? Fine. Look what you've done to me.
And also had a really weird foot fetish. I know we all remember this episode. Who doesn't remember this one? Then he forced Sam to wear this shirt on the show. Yeah, I know you guys see that right there. But this is just the beginning and I'm only getting started. So like and comment for a part 2. Did Justin...
We know Dan Schneider, then it already came out of the things he did. I don't remember seeing that shirt. I don't know if that was an edit or what, man, but we all know Jeanette McCurdy's story behind what happened. Dark side of Hollywood.
Bieber sell his soul? The answer is yes, he actually did, and it started at a very young age in the music industry. Back in 2013, Justin would just cover one eye in every single picture, and we all know what that means. He would also randomly do the devil horns. And then you got this, the infamous 666 covering one eye, and he did this back in 2010. Back in 2015, Justin was arrested due to multiple charges. During the court hearing, something happened to Justin that went viral all across the internet. I'm gonna play this video and I want you to keep looking at Justin's eyes.
With the following. DUI, alcohol, or drugs. Resisting without violence.
Oh, I know you all saw that his eyes changed from regular to reptilian eyes when he blinked. Now, when he blinked, his eyes went from that to that right there. I'm led to believe that Justin Bieber looks up to Marilyn Manson. During one of his concerts, he was just casually wearing Marilyn Manson on his shirt. This is Marilyn Manson. He's a Satan worshiper. This is my Instagram. Please get me to 10K if you guys want a part 2, and I'm doing shoutouts as well.
Advice that my grandma gave
That's
me
crazy.
Part 1. I'll ask for this series, so here it is. If you ever have a dream that somebody will be getting married, like they literally, the wedding is happening and they're about to say vows and all of that, they actually go through with the wedding, there is a 90% chance that that person is going to pass away. He always told me this ever since I was really young, and I didn't believe it until it happened to me. I remember I had a dream that my dad was getting married, but I did not like her for some reason. I don't know, she was just so ugly to me. I didn't like her, and I just told my dad, like, I don't want you to get married to her. And I remember having a whole argument with my dad about it. I even gave him an ultimatum, and of course he chose me. And I remember that lady being so angry that my dad chose me. It was like the angrier she got, the uglier she got. Anyways, he didn't get married to her, but the very next day, guess what happens? A TV falls on my dad. Like one of the 90s big back TVs. But thank goodness he only had like a broken finger.
Whoa, what the? How did her grandmother predict that? Talking about if you imagine somebody, well, if you dream somebody getting married, something's gonna happen to them like the next day or something. I don't think I've ever had a dream like that, Seekers. So, had that happened to you guys?
Okay guys, I just found something incredibly weird on Google Earth and I want to know what you think.
Okay, you're gonna get on Google Earth here. You wanna go all the way over to Nevada. You're gonna go down into the desert just like this. Zoom in right here. Once you get all the way down, you are gonna find a circular object. Kind of looks like a thumbprint, but this is where it starts to get crazy. Okay, you're gonna zoom in right here, and then you're gonna drop down to Street View. There should be a little dot you can click on. Wait for it right there. Okay, now click on the dot and I'll zoom in. Now what you're about to see, I cannot explain and I do not understand. I'm like literally like I don't think I'm supposed to see this. So here you go. You're gonna zoom in. You're gonna scroll over. You're gonna see a man in all white on a bicycle looking really creepy. But that's not the scariest part. Watch. When you flip around, there's a whole group of them in a circle doing some sort of weird ceremony or something. I don't know, you guys.
Follow for more.
Follow for more.
I don't know what he saw on Google Earth, but I'm gonna have to check that out. Clicking sound. Turn off my man when he was. Oh, wait, where'd he go? Cat do not want that selfie. Tell me you're gonna try to play the piano with the cat inside. What the? I can't get this get back, bro. Seekers, that's it for this video for you guys today, man. If you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up on this video, comment down below, hit that post notification bell. You guys are gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.